Hello there. Are you sure you're in the right place? See the name on the door? This podcast is Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. Surely you don't want to come in here. You do. Well, I must warn you that things are pretty adult in here. Absolutely no children are allowed. Obscene language, shocking and horrendous stories to chill you to your core, and terrifying tales that'll keep you up at night. The ladies inside aren't quite right. Lovely and hilarious, but very strange. Still want in, do you? Well, you'll get what you're here for. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to this week's Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. I'm Tash.
I'm Becky.
And I'm Emma. What was with the, really seductive pause?
I thought it sounded shitty and I was like, oh, that sounded off, didn't it? I'm Becky.
You just left a really big pause, like anticipation.
I wasn't sure what voice to use and then it just came out that way. So I'm sorry, everyone. Hi.
It was a nice voice.
It was your normal voice. It was just an unnecessary pause.
I like to be waited on. Fashionably late.
That's a French in you, that is.
That's just Becky.
It's always been. Don't talk about me being late, Tash. She'll think of all the times and get so angry.
It's every time, isn't it?
I can't be anywhere on time. It's too hard.
Is it though?
It is. You just used to tell me a time half an hour earlier than what you.
I've done that, mate, and you're still fucking late. Anyway, let's just move on.
I've got better.
Okay.
With time. Time blindness is a thing.
Yeah. I've got an issue.
Go on.
What's the issue?
I've got two issues actually. I have found 3 dead birds in 2 days. Is that an omen?
Oh.
What type of birds?
That's weird. That's weird because it actually ties in a little bit to the message I've got from a listener, but
Tash has been cursed.
Outside my house. So 2 were little baby chicks that have fallen / been kicked out the nest.
Okay.
I think a bigger bird's got in the nest and kicked them out.
All right.
And then the other one was just dead next, on my drive. Not the same breed of bird. I think the birds that were in my roof were blackbirds and the one that we found today was like a sparrow.
Well, that's really sad.
Really sad, but also, is it an omen?
I don't
if
know.
they were like crows, that would be scary.
3 dead crows, that would be scary, yeah.
Maybe the 3 signifies something. 3 birds, 3 podcast hosts.
Maybe.
Oh.
It's just weird that it's 3, so close together.
And who's the sparrow out of us?
Pardon?
Me. It's me.
The sparrow?
It's me.
You said that there's 2 baby birds and a sparrow. I was like, who's the sparrow?
What makes you a sparrow and not a blackbird?
Me?
Yeah.
Just because I'm a lot older and I've got all my feathers, haven't I? My greying feathers. Maybe it died of old age.
I mean, listen, that sparrow could have died of anything. Who knows? But
Bird flu.
Well, and that's worrying in itself, isn't it? I don't want bird flu on my front porch.
Property. Was it close enough to the window that it could have smacked the window? They love doing that, don't they?
It was sort of... Wait, no, it's just very strange.
Have you pissed off any travellers?
No, is that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well, they put curses on you, don't they?
Oh, this is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Is that offensive? I was going to say gypsy.
No, because I think gypsy, you're not supposed to say anymore, but
Okay, I do
my
apologise.
husband's family, who is gypsy, they call themselves gypsy, and they don't mind being called gypsies. They do not care whatsoever. And my husband thought that someone had put a curse on us at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year because we just had so much bad luck in a load of stuff. Just everything that we were trying to do kept going wrong, and he was like, someone's put a curse on us, and he was going to like go to one of the elders in the family and find out if someone's put a curse.
Well, I think I'm going to
to
sage my house tomorrow.
Just get rid of any of that bad juju.
have a wafty waft. Yeah.
And also, I've got a blister on my thumb because I was doing some gardening, and my thumb really aches. So now in my head, I'm gonna die of sepsis from a little blister in my thumb. That's obviously where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can pretty much guarantee that you're not going to die of sepsis from a blister on your thumb from gardening.
But you may lose 3 fingers, as there are 3 birds.
3. Can I pick which 3?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah, it definitely matters. Some
Yeah, it
fingers
matters,
are just
Emma.
not. You don't want to lose your thumbs.
You don't want to lose
You
your
don't want to
thumb.
be losing.
Well, your thumb isn't a finger, is it? It's a thumb.
But it's still an appendage.
We,
3 digits
Were you
then.
going to say it's an appendix?
An appendage.
Phalanges.
Phalange. Oh, what a
Phalanges.
horrible word. Fucking flange. Oh,
Phalanges. Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't want to lose your wanking fingers, really, would you?
No, that's what she's talking about when
Are
she
they your
panicked.
wanking fingers?
What? Do you use your little one?
No, Emma has a wanking fist. She goes all in, ramming the fist up.
Oh,
But then it wouldn't matter if I lost fingers, would it? Because I could still make a fist. Right.
Gosh, well, we got into fisting pretty quick, didn't we? Well, why not?
Oh, God. Well, welcome back to our podcast, everybody.
It's not the wanking that you'd miss, is it? Because you can just get a toy for that.
But what
That's
would you
not
hold
really-
it with?
Oh, that's a point.
With
You
your
need some
legs, just
fingers.
put it in between your legs and hold it there.
You'd find a way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jam
Oh,
it
yeah.
in somewhere.
jam it in. Oh, dear.
Hold it with a pillow or something. I don't know.
But they've
Well, there's a
suctioned some of
wheel,
them,
there's
aren't
a
they?
way.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do. I haven't got a suction.
No, me neither.
Yes,
no.
she does. Oh, she's
No,
like,
I don't.
I
You
don't
don't.
have one. My friend has one.
Your
I do
friend.
not.
Right, shall we move on, weirdos? They're just winking at each other very creepily. Anyway, to tie in with your...
What, we're fisting?
No!
No, go on.
To tie in with your potentially... you potentially being
Cursed.
cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a message and it's really strange. That's why I was concentrating so much just before recording, because it literally just came in.
Right.
Okay. So it starts probably nothing, but also maybe definitely something. So
Basically me and the birds. And my thumb.
hi ladies. Big fan of the podcast. I started listening while cleaning the kitchen last month, and now I think I might be possessed, or just very tired, or maybe haunted. Not sure. At first, it was just little things. My toaster started popping randomly, even when it was unplugged. The first time it happened was during the Black Eyed Kids episode, right when Emma said they just stood there staring. My toaster nearly launched a crumpet across the room.
But toasters are
Flying
notorious for
crumpets.
popping things up.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
also, I feel like toasters are kind of spooky. I feel like toasters do get
Toasters are
haunted.
fucking weird, mate.
Yeah, yeah. Toasters are fucking weird.
That's a sticker.
Okay, then the cat. Okay, so you know it's serious when the cat gets involved. Muffin, best cat name, started...
Fucking muffin.
Muffin, little muff.
Let's see how it ties in
Everyone
with
loves
the fisting
muffin.
now.
So Muffin started acting strange. She usually sleeps 23 hours a day, but now she spends that one waking hour sitting on top of the fridge, growling at the ceiling like it's personally offended her. She's also started licking the microwave.
I'd say you've got some tuna residue on that.
Other things. The hallway light flickers only when your podcast is on. That's weird. And my front doorbell rings now every time I'm in the loo, which is also very strange. I swear I heard whispering coming from the cutlery drawer, but when I opened it, all my forks were gone. Just forks. Not a single one left.
Did they come back?
No, all gone. They've just gone, vanished.
What?
I know.
That'd really upset me, especially if it was my favourite forks. I have a favourite
I would
one.
not cope with that.
I mean, take a couple of knives. Well, no, that's scarier.
But why are they hearing whispering coming from the cutlery drawer?
Because all the forks are like, let's get the fuck out of here.
This is giving, you know, when you split up with someone and it says, like, do things that will mildly inconvenience them.
Yeah.
That's what this is giving right now, I will be honest.
Okay. Has there been a breakup?
Is that the end of her story?
No.
Go on.
Also, and this one's weird, and it is
Okay.
weird. Also a little bit funny, so I'm sorry if I giggle.
Oh, God.
She had a dream where she was co-hosting our podcast.
Cool.
She was a Victorian child, and Becky was a badger in a bonnet.
Bodger, a badger, bodger.
I am a badger in a bonnet. Mashed potato.
But
It's not that.
this is where it gets spooky. She woke up with straw in her bed, and she lives in a flat in Leeds, so there's no straw anywhere. So that's weird. Anyway, just thought I'd let you know in case this is a common side effect of binge listening. All the best, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
So, Sue, I've got a couple of questions. Has there been a breakup or does someone live in your house with you? I think there are some things we can debunk. Just mainly for my peace of mind, because if not, I don't sleep very well. I think your doorbell is going off because it's to do with the wiring of when you're turning the light on in the toilet.
Oh, very logical.
There'll be something there. There'll be something that's tripping it or doing it.
Also potentially why the hallway light flickers when the podcast is on. If she's using like an Alexa or something, that's electric.
Very possible as well.
Yeah.
The cat licking the microwave definitely has something to do with tuna. Cats are weird, aren't they? They like to look at weird things. I think cats like to freak us out. I think cats are having little cat chats with their mates and they're saying, what can we do to wind this lady
I dare you
up?
to lick the microwave and keep eye contact with your owner at all times.
Yeah,
that's what they're
and
daring each other.
stare at the ceiling like you're possessed.
Yeah.
I think that's what cats are doing. The cutlery, I think that's someone playing a prank on you. Someone has come over to your house and I think nicked all your forks, thinks they're a jokester. They're actually a fucking twat because cutlery is really fucking expensive. Decent cutlery is expensive.
How do you eat without a fork?
Well, you don't. Well, a spoon, but who's doing that with certain foods? I honestly was looking at buying some new cutlery recently and can't afford it. So, I mean, I can afford it, but am I willing to spend that amount on
boring shit?
Boring shit. No, I'm not. So I think that's someone being a little prankster. And I think what you've done is you've looked at the cutlery drawer, shut it. You've sort of looked but haven't registered because you've just gone into there to get a knife. And then your mind is playing tricks on you. And then you've gone in there, you've thought you've heard the whispering and then you've gone in there. That's what I think. But do you know what, babe? You might be possessed.
Might be possessed.
You
What
might
about
be
the
possessed.
dream? Where she wakes
The
up with actual
dream.
straw in her bed. That's weird.
That is weird. Have you been to a farm? Does somebody have a house
Did
rabbit
you
that
go
know?
walk through a field drunk on the way home from a
Yeah.
night out? Did you?
And I do like the idea of Becky as a badger in a bonnet. Maybe that's a Halloween
I
costume.
definitely think we've sung Bodger and Badger on the podcast before, so I wonder if
We definitely have.
if you've listened to that episode and then that's obviously got the badger in your head, and then we've done a Victorian episode. But again, you could be possessed.
You know, listeners, get in touch. Are you experiencing anything bizarre when listening to our podcast? Anyway, should we move on?
I hope you're okay though, Sue.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Badger
listening.
Becky.
Oh, I'll just put her last name because we've got quite a lot of Sues that listen. So that was from Supernatural.
Yeah.
Is this all a fucking joke?
Is
Mate,
this
you're
a
a
joke
fucking
again?
wanker. This is one of your little jokes again, isn't it?
Maybe.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Supernatural.
You know how I just debunked it all as well?
yeah, I loved it.
I love the way that your brain worked there. So clever.
You are something else, right?
Oh, tell me you love me, though.
No.
Oh, don't be cross.
I really bought into that. I thought that poor woman.
With a Becky as a badger.
I also felt like I was mugging her off because I debunked it all. But then didn't want to make her feel stupid. Now I feel stupid.
Becky bought it as well, to be fair.
The only thing that didn't make sense, like I say, was the fact that you had access to the email address. And I was like, I wonder if this is a different one.
I don't think I said email when I was talking to you on the podcast. I said message.
I thought you said email earlier.
Anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? Right, well, it's all a lie.
It's all a lie. I'm sorry. I couldn't let it go. Supernatural. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. First name Sue, last name Pernatural.
I thought, what weird name?
Pernatural.
Pernatural.
Right.
Well done. Good pronunciation.
Get your laughs in now, because when I'm going to start talking, we ain't going to be fucking laughing.
God.
Who's first? Is it me or you?
I think it's me, because I think last week I finished. Week I finished with Daniel Marsh. You did Mike Williams first, and then we finished off with Daniel Marsh, I think. Tash?
Cool.
Yeah.
It's taken us that extra week to
I
record.
don't
I'm
remember
a bit
anything.
confused.
Even if it's not me, let me go first, because then hopefully you can cheer us up with something spooky.
That's a valid sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right, we're jumping in right straight. The first sentence.
What has she got us today? I've got a feeling this is going to be horrific, and she's
It's
embarrassed
awful.
about how horrific it is.
It is fucking horrendous. In fact, massive trigger warning.
Oh, God.
This is horrendous, so if you don't want to listen to it, don't. It's true crime. Well, it's not true. It's true crime-y. Nothing to do with the supernatural, and it's awful.
Well, we've had enough of that, haven't we, with old Sue?
Right. Okay. When people think of the horrors committed during the Second World War, the mind immediately turns to the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. The gas chambers, the mass graves, the industrialized slaughter of millions. It's a history so dark, so deeply carved into our collective memory, that it overshadows other atrocities committed on the opposite side of the world. Atrocities that, for the most part, remain hidden in the shadows of history. What many don't realise is that as World War II was brewing in Europe, Japan was already waging a brutal and bloody campaign in Asia. In 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria, a resource-rich region in northeastern China, setting up a puppet state under their control. Their ambitions didn't stop there. By July 7th, 1937, the Marco Polo Bridge incident gave Japan the excuse it needed to launch a full-scale invasion of China, igniting the Second Sino-Japanese War, driven by a thirst for resources, land, and dominance. Japan sought to build an empire that would rival the colonial powers of the West. What followed was a campaign marked by staggering cruelty. Cities burned, civilians massacred, women subjected to systematic sexual violence. The most infamous of these atrocities became known as the rape of Nanking. So yeah, we're not laughing anymore.
No, we've dived straight in.
Yeah. Where tens of thousands were slaughtered and raped in a matter of weeks. But there was another horror hidden from sight, operating under a veil of secrecy and scientific justification. A place where human beings were not seen as people, but as test subjects. Expandable material in the name of biological warfare. This was Unit 731. And what happened there defies belief. Have either of you heard of Unit 731?
No, I don't think I have.
Nobody really has, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it, because it is absolutely shocking that we can talk about the concentration camps and everybody knows it, but nobody knows about Unit 731. Before we go any further, I need to give a very serious trigger warning for this episode. What you're about to hear will cover topics including torture, rape, murder, medical experimentation, and the killing of children. Essentially some of the most horrific acts humans are capable of. If any of that feels too heavy, please take care of yourself and consider giving this episode a miss. There's no shame in stepping back from something this dark. Before we move into the main focus of this episode, we need to pause and talk about one of the most infamous atrocities of Japan's campaign in China, the rape of Nanking. Out of respect for the victims, it's something that cannot and should not be skipped over. In December 1937, Japanese forces captured the Chinese capital, Nanking, and unleashed 6 weeks of unimaginable horror upon its civilian population. It's estimated that over 300,000 people, men, women, and children, were murdered. 300,000.
It's an immense amount of people, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Tens of thousands of women were raped, with estimates suggesting that as many as 1,000 rapes occurred every single day. Many women were gang raped by groups of soldiers, sometimes kept alive for days as sex slaves before being mutilated or executed. Families were often forced to commit acts of incest for the soldiers' entertainment, and at the slightest sign of reluctance or resistance, victims were killed on the spot, bayoneted, shot, or worse, without a moment's hesitation. One survivor, a pregnant woman at the time, testified that Japanese soldiers stormed into her home, bayoneted her mother-in-law, raped her at knife point and stabbed her in the stomach, killing her unborn child. She was left for dead but somehow survived. Another family of 11 was wiped out after the mother was raped and killed. The soldiers inserted a bottle into her vagina before killing her.
Why?
The Japanese armies, from what I can gather, very much like Hitler managed to convince the SS that Jews were what's the word? Inferior.
Like not human in a way.
Yeah, that the Japanese see the Chinese the same, as if they don't matter, they're not human, they're not worth anything.
Just how did they sleep at night knowing that they'd done that to those people?
I mean, once the brainwashing wore off, I don't know if they did. So once they'd done the bottle in her vagina and killed her, they then moved on to her 2 daughters, who were both raped multiple times and then killed. The grandparents were forced to watch before they too were murdered. The scale of brutality defies comprehension. And while it is not the main subject of today's episode, it's crucial to acknowledge the full extent of the horror Japan inflicted on China during this period. To ignore it would be to do a disservice to those who lived and died through it. Okay, so that was the rape of Nanking. We're past that now. Now, as we shift our focus, we delve into one of the darkest chapters of Japan's wartime atrocities. A place so secretive and horrific that even today, many remain unaware of its full extent. This was Unit 731. a biological and chemical warfare research facility operated by the Imperial Japanese Army during the Second Sino-Japanese War and World War II. Established in 1936 under the command of General Shiro Ishii, Unit 731 was officially known as the Epidemic Prevention and Water Purification Department. The facility was shrouded in secrecy. To the local authorities and civilians, it was presented as a lumber mill, hence a grim euphemism for its victims, who were referred to as maruta, which means logs.
God.
The buildings where these human experiments took place were mockingly called log cabins. And after a day's work, the soldiers would often jokingly ask, "How many logs fell today?"
Oh my God.
It's horrible.
It's awful. The dehumanization was deliberate and systematic. Prisoners included men, women, children, and infants, primarily Chinese, but also Russians, Koreans, and others. They were subjected to some of the most inhumane experiments imaginable, all under the guise of scientific research. One of the most notorious practice was vivisection. So that's the dissection of living subjects without anesthesia.
God.
Victims were intentionally infected with diseases such as the plague or syphilis, and then dissected alive to study the progression of these illnesses. Organs were removed to observe blood loss, essentially meaning that they would time how long it took to bleed to death after having their foot cut off or their hand, and this would go down as important information, like it takes someone longer to die if you chop off a leg than an arm. An example I just made up, but it reflects the total pointlessness of it all. Limbs were amputated and reattached to different parts of the body, all to observe the effects. So, like, they'd chop somebody's arms off and then put them on, so you'd have your right arm on your left side and vice versa. Or sometimes they'd chop somebody's arm off and then chop somebody else's leg off and then put the arm where their leg used to be and their leg where... I mean, yeah, just awful. Some prisoners had their stomachs surgically removed and their esophagus reattached to their intestines, so just straight through. Frostbite experiments were conducted by submerging limbs into freezing water until frozen solid, so they did this outside in like sub-zero temperatures. Then observing the effects of various treatments. These experiments were often performed on prisoners, including children as young as 3 days old.
Oh my God.
Oh, baby.
Leading to excruciating pain and death. One account speaks of how they kept a woman's hand under a hose in freezing temperatures, breaking the icicles off with a stick. After doing this for an excruciating long time, they dipped her hand in warm water, and when the surgeon tugged on her hand afterward, all her skin just fell off, degloving her completely.
Oh, God.
Oh, women.
Now, I say surgeon. These people were no doctors. Some that were recruited were as young as 14 or 15 years of age. So these are kids doing this. Not all of them, but some of them. They had no idea what they were signing up for, of course, and expressed distress to begin with, but soon the brainwashing took over and they went about their job as if it was just another day at the office. The New York Times interviewed a former member of Unit 731, insisting on anonymity. The former Japanese medical assistant recounted his first experience in vivisecting a live human being who had been deliberately infected with the plague. He said, the fellow knew that it was over for him, and so he didn't struggle when they led him into the room and tied him down. But when I picked up the scalpel, that's when he began screaming. I cut him open from the chest to the stomach, and he screamed terribly. His face was all twisted in agony. He made this unimaginable sound. He was screaming so horribly. But then finally he stopped. This was all in a day's work for the surgeons, but it really left an impression on me because it was my first time. Other experiments included pressure chamber tests where subjects were placed in low-pressure environments until their eyes burst from their sockets. dehydration and starvation experiments, and infections with deadly pathogens to study disease progression. Some prisoners were injected with animal blood or exposed to lethal doses of radiation.
Oh, God, horrific.
It's just a nightmare. The scale of death and suffering is staggering. It's estimated that over 10,000 people died within Unit 731's facilities, with some sources suggesting the number could be as high as 200 to 300,000 when accounting for those killed by the biological weapons developed there. Because yes, Unit 731's horrors didn't end inside the walls of their so-called log cabins. Their research was not just theoretical, it was field-tested, unleashed deliberately on civilian populations. One of their most infamous weapons was the flea bomb, a crude but devastating device. These bombs were packed with plague-infected fleas, bred in massive quantities within the facility. When dropped over the Chinese villagers, the bombs would shatter, releasing swarms of the fleas into the environment, infecting rats, livestock, and ultimately people with bubonic plague. Entire towns were turned into living laboratories. Outbreaks of plague, cholera, typhoid, and anthrax ravaged civilian populations, killing thousands. In one campaign, Ningbo, a city on China's east coast, was targeted in 1940. Japanese planes dropped ceramic bombs filled with infected fleas and contaminated food supplies. Within days, deadly epidemics took hold. The death toll climbed rapidly, leaving behind silent streets and mass graves. Other methods were just as cruel. Wells were poisoned with typhoid and dysentery. Clothing and household items were intentionally contaminated and distributed among unsuspecting civilians. The goal was clear: to perfect biological warfare by treating human suffering as mere data. Shiro Ishii and his top commanders oversaw these operations with cold efficiency. They aimed not only to weaponize disease for battlefield use, but to master the art of wiping out entire populations with invisible killers. So, just so everybody's aware, this is now information that everybody has. Like, governments all have this information. So, that's slightly terrifying.
Yeah.
No warning, no chance to defend, and no distinction between soldier and civilian. Unit 731's experiments weren't accidents of war. They were calculated acts of biological terrorism. Acts that have left scars across China to this day. As Japan's defeat in World War II became inevitable, Unit 731's leaders knew they had to erase the evidence of their crimes. In August of 1945, as Soviet forces began their invasion of Manchuria, the order was given: destroy everything. The most chilling aspect of this cover-up was the fate of the remaining prisoners. To eliminate any witnesses, the captives were given a grim choice: a rope to hang themselves or a bowl containing a lethal dose of potassium cyanide.
Oh my God.
Approximately 1/3 chose suicide. The rest were forcibly injected with the poison. In the end, all were killed, their bodies cremated and the ashes scattered to prevent identification. Despite Japan's desperate efforts to erase Unit 731 from history, the truth could not be fully buried. After the Soviet Union invaded Manchuria, they captured several senior members of the unit. In 1949, the Soviets held the Khabarovsk war crime trials. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced that right. Where 12 Japanese military and medical officials were put on trial for crimes related to biological warfare. During the proceedings, many confessed in grim detail to the experiments conducted at Unit 731 and other related facilities, because, this place was horrendous, but it wasn't the only one. Like, this is the worst, but there were others like it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
They admitted to developing and deploying biological weapons, infecting civilians with plague and cholera, and performing all the atrocities we spoke of above. The trial was significant because it was the first public acknowledgement of the horrors of Unit 731. However, and this is awful, the West deep into the early stages of the Cold War, largely ignored the findings, dismissing them as Soviet propaganda. Meanwhile, back in the United States, negotiations were quietly underway to secure the Unit 731 research data in exchange for immunity from prosecution for many of the key figures, including General Shiro Ishii himself. So the bastard that ran it was given immunity.
Oh, because they were like, oh, we can't actually carry these tests out because it's inhumane, but we want all the detail, please.
Yeah. As a result, although the Khabarovsk trials documented undeniable war crimes, very few outside the Soviet Union paid attention. And most of those responsible escaped true justice. Today we live in a world where it's easy to believe that atrocities like those committed at Unit 731 could never happen again. We tell ourselves that humanity has learned its lesson, that the horrors of the past are confined to the history books and memorials. But the uncomfortable truth is that as we sit cozy in our homes, unaware and untouched, we can never truly know what some of the world's most twisted and sick minds are concocting behind closed doors. Science, power and cruelty have always found ways to intertwine when left unchecked. And history has shown us again and again how quickly the unthinkable can become reality. And there you go. Unit 731.
Well, that was horrible.
I mean, awful, isn't it?
You know, the Nazi doctor, is it Mengele? Joseph Mengele?
Yeah.
He was his horrible. He was the one that was obsessed with twins.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of his research actually really moved a lot of things along, like in medical and horrific.
Just horrendous. But I can't see how attaching somebody's esophagus to their intestine is what's the point to it?
Messing around, just like those.
I also think there's ways to do that. If you need to do that research. I mean, I don't know the ways to do it, but there's got to be better ways to do it than
it's
that.
Pointless. I mean, it's obvious that's not going to work. Like, you need a stomach.
It's awful.
Or at least some kind of medical replacement stomach. You can't just attach tubes.
It's horrendous.
And they did it while they were all alive. There was no anesthesia. It was... Anyway, it was awful.
Horrific. Horrible.
I'm quite traumatized after...
Yeah, it just seems like those kids that would like kill and dissect animals when they were younger, and they just got like free reign with actual human beings when they were older, and it's like their little fantasy.
But I think some of them were like completely normal kids, but the brainwashing was so severe. They're just logs. They're just logs. You're all right. Doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, God. Horrible.
Absolutely awful. And, it's...
Horrible.
It just also makes you worry, like, what is going on now.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on now that's really worrying.
With even, like, more medical advance now, like, they could easily keep people alive and continue those experiments whilst having people alive.
The terrifying thing is somewhere like that might exist, and we'd never know. But I did want to talk about it because it's kind of, without getting political or anything, it is kind of relevant when you see something slowly happening.
It's awful, isn't it?
I could go on and on. But yeah, when you read stuff like this, you're like, we haven't learned fuck all.
No, because I do think about stuff.
I'm trying not to think about it because I'm the same as you. I'm like, I can't think about this right now because I can't do anything about it.
We can't do anything. We literally can't do anything.
I think about nuclear war a lot. That's what I think about.
Well, try not to.
Like I think about that.
I think about nuclear war, that if nuclear war is going to happen, if I get vaporized, I don't really... Nothing. I just hope I'm not at work when it happens.
Well, you won't know, will we?
I'll just
it'll be so quick.
Air. Hopefully.
But I do think about it a lot.
And we're not that far from Paris. It's if they decide to hit France, we're not that far from Paris. But hey, listen, before we all die, should I get on with my story? Boom.
Go on then. Go on, Becky. Brighten us up, because the world's a shit show and humans are awful.
Yeah. Right, listen. Before I get onto this story, I'm so sorry.
Oh, God.
Because, right, I wanted to make sure that I got a story that you hadn't done and that you probably wouldn't do for a very long time by the time you actually got round to it, because I didn't want to get something that would have been... that I would have felt that my story wasn't as good as if you'd done it. So I wanted to try and get something a little bit odd and a little bit out of the way that I knew that you probably...
I feel like you've just said loads of words and I don't understand anything you've just said.
So the story that I've done is something that I think that Emma wouldn't have landed on in a long time. So I was like,
right.
What can I do? And I was like, oh, well, not something in France, because Emma knows how to do that, and not something in an English-speaking country, because Emma will probably do those stories. What's a country that I like? And I was like, oh, Italy. Meh. Make everything really hard for myself, translating stuff and...
Oh.
Right. This is the story, and I do apologise in advance, because compared to when I'm looking at true crime and that, a lot of it is fact, a lot of it is like research sources. Obviously, when it's paranormal or cryptids like this one, a lot of it is a bit iffy. So I wasn't sure how you do your research, Emma, because some of it I'm a bit like, oh, well, that contradicts that bit.
I generally choose the scariest option and go with that.
Right.
That's generally what I do.
It's kind of scary, but also I couldn't help but laugh throughout some of it.
Oh, we're on a cryptid, so yeah, I'm intrigued.
Right, so they say that southern Italy is full of forgotten places. Quiet little hamlets hidden behind vineyards and olive groves. But I wasn't looking for a happy, cheery story, but I kind of just randomly came across this because of Reddit. It's about the story of La Bambina Gilitare un Sasso. So, which means the girl that threw a stone. This particular part of the story happened in 2019 when international travel was still easy. It was before COVID hit. So these were just a family of tourists spinning around in southern Italy. A normal family. They weren't explorers, they weren't ghost hunters, they weren't looking for cryptids or witches or anything that you'd see in those grainy corners of the YouTube channels and Reddit threads where I found this story. They were just a family. So it was Lucia, Claudia, and their daughters, Sophia and Camilla, and Lucia's sister, Gabriella. So 5 people. So they were just exploring the area of where they were. So they were on their little autumn road trip through southern Italy. And at first, everything was going absolutely fine, just the way that they'd hoped. Wine, food, empty roads, little towns. It looked like nothing had changed in the area since the 1800s. Gabriella took pictures. The girls collected rocks and weird leaves. And everyone joked about how nobody back home in Buenos Aires would believe this place was even real. They were staying in a small rental outside Matera when Lucia brought up a place that she'd read about months ago, something buried in an old Italian travel blog, a place called Bosco di Sant'Andrea, which is a forest in the Basilicata region. So this forest area had kind of been deleted off most official maps back in the 1970s. Strange, why? But apparently there's just not much there, that's why it's not on there. It wasn't a national park, there was no campsites there, no ranger stations, it was just an old trail through an even older forest.
Hang on, wait a minute, so there's somewhere that just because it hasn't got anything on it, it's not on a map?
Apparently, this old travel book that she'd found is just about this really lovely forest. Yeah, you couldn't really find much information about it on a map. It just showed like a small trail going through it, but there's nothing around.
Okay,
It's just
so
like
it
a
is
forest.
on the map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's nothing. There's not like a little village that you can get to when you get to the end of the trail. The trail just kind of ends, and then you have to come back on yourself.
Yeah.
But it looked nice, according to the little travel booklet that she had.
Book.
So Lucia wanted to go there. Claudia was like, meh, let's check it out. And they had no idea what they were about to step into. They set out that morning. They packed snacks, their jackets, and a Bluetooth speaker so that the girls could listen to music while they were walking around. The drive took longer than expected, and the GPS kept dropping out of signal. Gabriella's phone wouldn't load any signal either, and they lost track of which road they were even on.
Oh dear.
They ended up weaving through a narrow lane flanked by trees on both sides. Felt kind of hollow and like they were just going to nothing. They passed no signs, no markers, just a break in an old rusted iron fence. When they got to the fence, it said, "Welcome to Bosco di Sant'Andrea." And then it was just like a forest. You had to stop the car, get out and walk along. So the forest beyond the gate was just quiet. And the first thing that they noticed after walking past the gate into the forest, that all of a sudden everything went silent. There was no bird calls, no wind even, just eerie stillness that kind of made the hairs on the back of your neck prick up a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird in a forest.
And even the trees weren't like the ones that they passed on the road on the way there. These were taller, smoother, and their bark like a pale grey white. Just everything kind of going a bit Tim Burton.
Silver birch then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say a silver birch.
Silver bird. But their roots kind of pushed up through the ground like fingers. Instead of going down, they'd curled back up again.
So spooky birch.
Spooky birch. Creepy birch.
It sounds creepy.
This sounds a little bit creepy, but they were fine. They'd driven a long time to get there, so they were going to have a little gander. Camilla, the younger of the two girls, ran ahead, and she had a thing about picking up strange rocks and leaves, and she liked keeping them or showing them off to her parents, like shiny pebbles, or just how we do love a good rock when you're a child.
I'm 42, still love a good rock. 41, I'm 41. Jesus.
Gabriella always thought that this was cute. Camilla was only 8 after all. It was very cute. Or when you're 40 odd. It's also cute,
Yeah.
Emma. I still think it's cute.
Thank you.
Love the rocks. No one's
Next time I
judging.
see you, I'll show you my rocks.
Do you have them lined up in size order?
No, they're in like a pretty display holder. It's like a boat full of rocks. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. It's lovely. It's nice.
Goals. I do like rocks. You know when you put your hands in pebbles and they all clank together, that kind of feels nice. Do you do that with your rock jar? Do you stick your hand in there and have a wiggle around?
I like polish them. I've never wiggled in there. I'll have a wiggle.
Go and do it. You'll feel good.
Ooh.
I've never wiggled in there. Do it with your
Don't promise
fist.
me with a good time. I don't know if I can deal with the excitement.
Right. So Camilla loves her stones. She loves her rocks. So when she ran ahead and picked up a rock, she turned around, laughing, holding it up like a prize. But as she did so, everything kind of shifted. Everything kind of zoomed in on the rock that she had in her hand. It was weird. It was as if like the camera zoomed in. And then she threw the rock just into the trees a little bit further along. And no one saw where it landed, but it sounded like it hit something.
What did it hit?
But they didn't realise much was wrong. That was a bit weird. My eye camera seemed to zoom in on a rock, but blah, we'll just get on with our little walk.
In this silent creepy
the silent,
forest with
creepy,
finger
curly
trees.
roots. Yeah, finger trees. They didn't realise anything was wrong until about 5 or 6 minutes later, when they wandered down the path a bit more. Though calling it a path felt generous, it was like a forest trail. But then, as they were going down, the trees started growing tighter and tighter together, and sometimes they even had to duck under some sagging limbs and step over these tangled roots that are sticking up everywhere. That's when Sophia stopped. Sophia's the 11-year-old, the older sister. Sophia was like, "Did you see that?" Gabriella turned around. She was like, "See what?" Sophia said there was someone right there, pointing off into the distance, pointing between two trees. She was like, "There's someone there, like a guy." And they all turned around, and that's when they all saw it. Something stood about 30 feet away, not moving, not hiding, just watching them.
Oh.
It was hard to make out in the dim light, filtering through the canopy, because as I said, all the trees are squished together now, so not as much light. Its arms hung too long, its posture hunched. It wore something that looked like bark or stitched leather, and in one hand it held a small axe. Not a modern one, it looked like an old, very old axe. Rusted,
Fuck
chipped.
that. Fuck it.
That's when Camilla, she hadn't noticed it. She picked up another stone and threw it into the forest again with a laugh. But as she'd thrown it, that's when she saw the figure and it went and hit it. It struck the figure with a crack. It was just a small sound, but it echoed through the trees like a thunderclap. The figure didn't fall. It didn't yell. It just moved. The way it moved didn't make sense. It didn't run. It didn't charge. It simply began walking, one step, then another, just plodding towards them, dragging its axe behind it.
Oh, no.
It was quite a small figure, but very, very wide.
Same, babe, same.
So it's a chode.
It was a little chode.
Cryptid chode.
So dragging the axe behind it, the blade was tearing into the root and soil as it was dragging through it, so it was quite sharp. That's when Claudio snapped into action, grabbed both girls and screamed at Lucia and Gabriella to run.
Sounds like they can outrun it.
Yeah, hopefully. Gabriella started to run, but was like, camera, let's take a picture. She turned to take a picture and the lens on her camera shattered. It just blew up. Not from an impact. It was just as if the camera was like, nope, and just blew itself up.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Like the camera itself didn't want to see what was coming, so they all ran. The forest, which had seemed oddly small when they entered, now felt endless. Worse than that, it felt wrong. Gabriella swore they passed the same rock formation twice. The trail that they thought they followed vanished completely.
Oh, fuck. They're not in a loop, are they? Oh, I hate loops.
Roots seemed to rearrange themselves, as in they'd walk by it, turn around, and it looked different again. The air thickened, and behind them they could hear something. Chop, chop, chop. It wasn't following their trail, it was making its own through the roots.
Oh, no.
Like choppy, chop, chop, chopping my way through.
Gotta make use of that axe, though.
Yeah, that axe sounds sharp as fuck. They stumbled into an old stone structure, some kind of shrine or chapel. Overtaken by moss and vines, the roof was gone, the floor was dirt, one of the walls had symbols carved into it, like strange ancient shapes and spirals and triangles, and one that looked like an eye etched out, and another, clear as day, a small, crude axe. So they huddled inside, trying to catch their breath. Camilla was crying, I didn't mean to. I just threw the rock and I didn't see it. I didn't know I'd make it mad. Lucia hugged her close, but she looked terrified. Claudio checked his phone, and it was dead. Not low battery, dead. Gabriella's was the same. None of them had signal, and they couldn't figure out what the way out would be. They waited for hours, and nothing came. No sound, no movement, just stillness. And eventually, as night crept in, they made a decision. We just need to run. We need to get out of here before it gets too dark. Not back the way that they came, because there was no back. Everything had changed again, and they didn't know where they were going. They were just like, we need to go anywhere apart from this. So they just picked a direction at random and moved. Gabriella swore that the trees shifted as they walked, like they were being pushed along or pulled into new patterns. They just didn't make any sense. Then Sophia saw it again, closer this time, behind a tree, watching, still holding that axe. They found the car, somehow, they don't know how, but by the time they got there, the tyres had been shredded. Deep gouges, as if torn by claws or maybe a blade of an axe. But it was like ripped.
Yeah.
They piled in anyway, locked the door and waited. At the edge of the forest, where the trees began, the figure stood, still and watching. It raised its axe, slowly, not threatening, but like a reminder, and then it turned and vanished. So they would park just beyond the gates, and it was as if whatever it was like, this is my land.
Get off of my land.
Yeah, even though he's Italian.
Hey, get off of my land.
Mamma mia.
Mario. It's Mario time.
Oh, dear. So they slept in the car that night, or they tried to. No one really slept. And in the morning, they walked 7 kilometers to a small village, San Pellegrino of Vecchio. They asked around for help, but people just turned away. They were like, no.
Oh. Rude.
Yeah. They knew where they'd come from. They could see the direction that they came out of, and they were like, I want no part of this.
Uh-oh.
But then one woman finally spoke, and she was like, Lo Gnomo di San Andrea. And they were like, what? And what it means is the gnome of San Andrea, or what is known as is the mysterious axe-wielding gnome, is what's the other name, which made me laugh so much.
I was terrified, but it's a gnome.
Yeah, but I think it's like a cryptid gnome. It sounded scary. It was wearing bark. It translates as gnome, but she says it wasn't a fairy tale. It was a warning, and they were lucky to get out of that forest. That they had woken this cryptid, and it was something that was not meant to be woken. They shouldn't have gone there.
You don't fuck with gnomes.
You don't fuck with gnomes. Back home, they ended up going, managed to leave, finish their holiday, or whatever was left of it, and managed to go home. But Gabriella could not let this go. It freaked her the fuck out. Like, well, all of them, they were freaked out, but she was like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So she dug through folklore, archives, forums, digital scans of pre-Roman tech, and what she found chilled her. The forest had been sacred ground, older than Christianity. Tribes in the region believed in custodi, which are forest guardians, not spirits, not gods, but they're like beings, which is what this type of little gnome is. One in particular had been buried beneath the trees, sealed with its axe, wrapped in the roots of trees, cursed never to rise again unless the seal was broken. 3 things would awaken it. And that's blood, sound, and if someone threw a stone at it. So they've accidentally...
I think all 3 of those things could happen.
I mean, sound, it was so quiet. That's why the forest was so quiet. But they were still making noise walking around.
Blood, you could fall over.
Yeah. But since then, the gnome or some of its relative have made appearances in various countries around the world. From numerous testimonies that give the same description, he's mainly armed with a medieval axe, and a lot of the time, this is where it gets funny, he wears the classic pointed hat of a gnome.
Oh, no.
Listen, you're not a gnome if you don't wear a hat.
Most certainly for cleverly camouflaging himself among the now widespread garden gnomes, because they think that he's got out now. He's not even a metre tall in some cases, and he's even appeared to be the same size of a tennis ball. So they think this is other cryptids, not the one that they're seen in the forest, but there's other ones that are similar.
Right.
That they can change their height.
Creepy.
Ugh, I don't know why a tennis ball freaked me the hell out. He generally has a dangling gait, sometimes crab-like, but always moves jerkily, which is what they described.
I've seen videos of so-called gnomes, and they are creepy. I mean, they're probably fake,
Yeah.
but they are very creepy, and they do have that red hat.
Gnomes are creepy, like...
And they kind of walk
Even
like
like
this.
that.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, if I had a little gnome just walk into my room right now, I think I'd scream. I've seen a video that was super fake. You can tell it was a guy just crouched down. But apparently, yeah, he's quite cunning. He's only ever had people film them from a great distance, or when he saw it happen, he could damage the camera. So I don't know whether this is a made-up creepypasta thing, but it doesn't. I saw this particular story over and over again, and it seemed to be that these tourists, it did happen to them, and they got home and they told their story about it. But there are other gnome-like creatures in Italian folklore. So one is called the Monticello. Originating from Naples, the Monticello is a small monk-like figure wearing a red cap, known for its mischievous behaviour, and is said to appear in old houses, often bringing good fortune or playing pranks. So that's not too scary. And some tales suggest that if you catch him, he might reveal hidden treasures. Whoa.
Bit like Leprechaun.
Yeah. Very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then there's another one, Savinelli. This one relates from the Adagio Plateau. So legends speak of the Sanguinelli or Savinelli. So they're like gnome-like beings dwelling among rocks and tree roots. They're known for their playful pranks and are considered guardians of the forest. Stepping on their footprints is believed to cause disorientation, leading fellow travellers astray. Banganello, they're from the Calabria, so particularly in the town of Paola. Tales of this particular gnome, again described as wearing a red cap and possessing treasure. He is also invisible to most, but can be seen by children. And capturing his cap may grant you his treasure, but beware they don't take kindly to theft. Another one, the Mazzamarello, common in southern Italy. He's a mischievous spirit known for causing unexplained noises and disturbances in homes. And then lastly, the folletto is a general term for various small impish creatures that are found throughout Italy. And they're known for their trickery and love of mischief, whereas some are harmless pranksters, others can be more malvoyant, depending on the regional tales. So not as scary as the one that I told you all about. These seem to be more like little pranksters, little YouTubers of the gnome world, of the cryptid world.
That's how
Okay.
it starts.
We laugh about it, but if you had one running around your garden, pulling pranks on you, like knocking your chairs over or pulling your dog's tail, you'd be freaked out.
Yeah,
you wouldn't
definitely.
You wouldn't be like,
if a gnome appears in my garden tomorrow, I'm going to shit myself. I'll be like, nope. I'm going to take
Nope.
you back to the forest.
While you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, this sounds a bit silly, but if you said, should we go to that forest tomorrow? I'd be like, no. No,
I don't
Ta.
really want to go either.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, because
No,
I was
thank
going to
you.
tell you that that the fact that this story is about the mysterious axe-wielding gnome from the beginning, but then you wouldn't have got the scary bit. It would have been funny all the way through.
It does. Oh, I mean, I don't know. It is creepy.
Anyone of any size holding an axe in the middle of a forest, I'm not going to be wanting to stay anywhere near you.
No. And I get very scared about situations where you can't get out. Like either you're running forward.
That was the scary part, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Can't get out.
Like
can't get out of the forest.
Or I don't like it like when things loop, like you're going forward, but suddenly you're back. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And, or just like constantly running and you can't, that's very anxiety inducing. I don't like it. So yeah, fuck your story, really. It was quite scary.
Fuck that.
Fuck it.
So weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think you wouldn't have got to that one in a while, would you?
I would have probably never covered the axe.
The gnome.
The gnome. But, I mean, gnomes and fairies and pixies and stuff, they're in loads of countries' folklore and they're all pretty, supposed to be pretty nasty. So, why not?
Yeah, well, it seems to be, it's either quite harmless or some of them are a little bit more. I think one of them stole children's teeth, which is a bit like...
Oh, yeah, I've heard stories about fairies and stuff that do.
Yeah, it's the tooth
but
fairy.
Like the tooth fairy, but it was like a gnome, but like in a...
Oh, yeah.
It was
The
like
tooth fairy.
not in a
Yeah.
nice way.
That story we tell all our kids.
Yeah. Or the tooth mouse.
My kids are terrified of the tooth fairy, and to be honest, it's creepy. It is, I understand.
Why are we all doing it?
I don't know.
Like, what the fuck's the tooth fairy doing with all them teeth? Is it just like smelling the teeth? What's happening?
They make their castles out of teeth, don't they?
I don't know.
Why the fuck?
Well, I mean, they don't. They're just chucked in the bin at my house.
I think I kept the first few.
No, I've got all of them.
Why?
Because I'm a psycho.
You should freeze them because they have stem cells.
Bit late now, innit?
Apparently.
They're in the bin.
Yeah, we're a bit late now, yeah. But if one falls out again tomorrow, be like, oh, freezer.
Esme's lost all her teeth now.
Anyway.
What? For all your dentistry facts, do tune in next week.
Yeah. Have you seen a gnome in a forest yet?
Yeah.
Has anyone got any gnomes in their garden?
Tell us.
Watch out.
No.
Don't give it an axe. Don't bury it under roots.
Do we mind a garden gnome? Like a nice garden gnome?
It's not my thing, but good for people that like them.
I think my grandparents had one on their little pond. You know, the one that's holding a fishing rod.
Yeah, if someone got me it, I'd be a bit like, what the fuck? But like...
Because you can get nicer gnomes, and then others are a bit gross, like ones with their arse out and stuff.
I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of that kind of garden decor in general.
What about if it was a hedgehog or something?
Again, not really my thing, but...
Not your thing.
Do what makes you happy.
I have a garden hedgehog.
Like, I can appreciate how some people like that, but I'm not at that stage in my life yet.
You haven't got quite there.
Talking about weird stages in life, do you know what I all of a sudden really like and like kind of maybe want to collect? And it's stupid.
Stamps?
No.
Coins.
Hello Kitty.
But that's not strange for you, Emma.
It is a bit strange.
Is it?
No, you already...
Sorry, didn't you have My Little Pony?
My Little Pony.
Yeah, but that was nostalgic. That was from the 80s. And
I don't think it's weird for you, Emma, and I think you can dress it up as much as you want. That's pretty normal for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes me feel a little bit better because I'm like, am I now a sad old lady that's going to start collecting Hello Kitty?
No, do what you want. Fuck everyone else.
I think if it takes over your whole house, that's probably a little bit weird, but do what makes you happy, girl.
Look all the stuff behind me.
Yeah.
Look at all the Super Mario stuff.
It's true.
I think it's a thing.
It is.
I just think people have got to do what makes them happy.
Love.
I really want one of those toads.
Tash really wanted that mouse. Got the mouse, didn't like it.
Do you know what I'm actually going to do? I don't know if I've told you about this.
Mm-mm.
In a few years, maybe like 6 to 8 years' time, when the girls have left school and are like in higher education or doing their own thing, I'm going to go and take a sabbatical from wherever I'm working, and I'm going to go to Australia, and I'm going to go, or somewhere else. I only really know about it in Australia, and go to, you know, where they go mining.
Yeah.
And you make like shitloads of money. I'm not going to be a miner, but they have like these mining villages where it's like a little village.
Where the fuck is this going? Right, yeah.
But you make so much money.
Kinda
So you
sounds like
work
a
for
cult.
like 2 weeks straight or like a month straight, then you'll have a week off. But the money you make is insane. People going onto these mines or like, you know, like oil drilling and stuff like that. And people can do that for 2 months a year and then afford to live for the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, but it will be super dangerous if the pay is that high.
I'm not doing the mining bit, so my pay will be significantly less, I've no doubt.
Right.
But I'm going to go spend a year doing that.
For some reason, when you started that story, I thought it had something to do with Beryl, and I kept waiting for you to say, and I'm taking Beryl.
Well, maybe I'll
and
take Beryl.
I was like, why is she taking the mouse to Australia? Where's this going?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. So you're going to be mining. I'm going to be
I
surrounded.
don't think I'm going to do the mining bit. I'll just run like the cafe or the juice bar or the pub or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
And marry a rich miner.
And potentially. Well, I think most of the people that go are quite young. I'll probably be the old weird one, but it's fine.
We're all going to turn out to be old, weird ladies, aren't we? Still doing our podcast.
Oh, well, I really hope that I'm that weird woman that kids in the village are like, oh, look at this weird woman again.
I've come to the realisation that I am a bit weird. Oh, I didn't think I was. I
definitely
think,
are.
And I like weird people as well.
I think it's the neurotypicals that are weird. We're normal.
Yeah, you're friends with me and Becky, so...
But I just thought I didn't think I was that weird, but I am, aren't I?
A bit, yeah.
And sometimes I catch myself being weird and I'm like, oh. I'm a bit weird.
Whoopsie. Doing the weird thing again.
You are who you hang out with.
But I don't think I'm like weird, but definitely a bit weird.
Are we weird? I don't think Becky's weird. She's just weird.
I don't know. On the weird scale.
I think the things that we do while we're on our own is fucking weird. I'm like, sometimes I'll do things and I'm like, if anyone knew what I was doing right now, they wouldn't want to be friends with me. Or they'd be like, oh, Becky's
other people
fucking
weird though? Is everyone weird?
I think everyone's weird when they're by themselves.
I want to know what Becky does by herself now.
Yeah, me too. What do you do that's weird by yourself?
I don't know, just fucking stuff. Next time something happens, I'll be like, oh, this is one of them. Yeah.
It's not weird.
Just fucking stuff.
Just horny.
I see stuff and I just do it. Nah, but something... The next time something like that happens, I'll write it down. I'll be like, well, that's quite weird. And you'll either say, no, that's not weird because I do it. And then you'd be weird too.
Yeah.
I can't think of something off the top of my head.
I bet you talk to yourself a lot. I can see you muttering away to yourself.
What, Becky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know, like, I don't know, if you're crying about something and you walk past a mirror, I'd look at myself crying and then I'd be like... And then I'd be like...
That is weird.
I'd try and make myself laugh.
So, obviously, this isn't very good audio podcasting. Becky basically just stuck her finger out and did like a peace sign to herself, crying in the mirror.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at yourself crying in the mirror.
I'll pull a face at myself. I don't know, I'd be crying about something, but then also be trying to do stuff, and I might walk past a mirror and be like, oh, I look so ugly crying. And just like pull a face at myself to try and stop myself crying.
That is weird, but that's like the best kind of weird. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I've bought a picture of a vase that says arsenic on weird. That's the kind of weird I am.
Yeah, that's cool though.
I think
that's just
cool.
cool. I think cool.
I'll have an argument with, like when everyone does this part, but when you've
Do they?
had an argument or a disagreement and then you think of all the stuff that you should have said.
Oh, that's so
I was
annoying.
thinking about it on the sofa and then I'll be like this and I'll be like, and then I'll say something that I would have said, but I'll say it out loud and no one's like, are you talking to me? And I'm like, no, I'm just
rehashing an
with
argument.
the imaginary person in my and I'm like, but you did this like that. and no one's like, what?
He was like, bitch, it's
I'm
crazy.
Like, sorry,
again.
I'm arguing.
Funnily enough, I did that this week at a doctor's appointment. She was cutting something out for one of our exercises. And I went in French out loud, audibly, she's cutting out. and the doctor looked at me and she was like,
what?
Is that all right? Is that all right? And I said, oh yeah, no, sorry. I was just commenting and like, no, I'm just narrating what you're doing. I was just thinking out loud, if you will. And she's like, are you sure? Because, we can do something else.
Are you fucking mental?
Oh, God. Right, I've got a really bad headache.
God.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
It was a rough episode. Potentially one of the weirdest episodes ever.
Yeah.
Like, mass genocide? Gnome.
If you've enjoyed listening to our episode and want to hear more, you can go back and listen to all our previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you may get all your podcasts.
Oh, she's got a professional voice on.
Yeah, I'm going to say that fucking voice was amazing.
We are slightly unhinged. I'm sorry about that, but we hope you enjoy it. We would also love to hear from you. You can contact us on all social media platforms. Emma is especially good on Facebook. So send us over your stories. Send them over. We love to listen to them. And if your name is Supernatural, fuck you. In the meantime, guys, stay safe.
Don't kill people.
And keep it weird.
Keep it gnomey.
Sorry, I've got hiccups.
I think we've kept it weird.
Talk.
I think it's all good. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And yeah. And I got a puppy. A new puppy.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry for making you yawn so much.
That was such a dramatic yawn. Oh, right.